Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beans and Banter. I'm your host Caroline,
And I'm Daniel.
Yeah.
We're gonna work on our intro.
Yeah. Change of angle,
Yes.
and we're doing a mukbang today.
Yes. And what do we have today? Fried chicken. Sponsor us. We're gonna be blurring this out, but you guys can probably guess what we're having.
Today, the topic is childhood dreams.
Huh?
I'll let you think about that for a little bit, because I'm going to ask a very obvious question.
Yep.
What was your childhood dream?
Well,
Or dreams, if you had more than one, because I definitely had more than one.
before I answer that question,
Mm-hmm.
can I ask a clarifying question, right?
Yep.
What aspects of life are we talking about here in terms of dreams? Like, you know how the very
Maybe
innocent...
when you were much younger. I'm gonna say primary school and up until your teenage years.
Okay, so but I think what I'm getting to, right, is what a lot of people hear when they're younger, or what they get asked, right, is what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Which is the equivalent of like, what are your dreams, right? Which is what you're asking, right? Is that what you're asking, or are you asking
Yep.
what, like, I don't know, what goals and aspirations you have?
Let's start simple and say, what did you want to be when, like,
Gosh.
what did you want to?
Very small burger. Oh, well, yeah.
I feel like it's missing some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
It's a good question. I think, honestly speaking, I didn't really have much thought of what I wanted to be when I grew up. But I'd say, probably because of my Asian roots and probably all the Chinese / any Asian heritage people out there would be like, oh,
Wait, can I
What?
take a guess?
yeah, what,
A doctor?
yeah, absolutely, doctor, right. Well, because like, you know better, right? Like, well, you'll be a doctor when
No,
you
you
grow
would
up.
have been a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, or
No. Doctor.
you wanted to be a doctor. Oh,
Well, I didn't want to be a doctor. Well, I didn't know what I want to be. Is what I
Yeah.
mean, right? But my family was like, oh, you'll be a doctor when you grow up. And I'm
sure.
like, okay, sure. Like, I don't know why specifically I had to be a doctor. But I guess the prestige of being a doctor, like, it's stable, whatever, you make a lot of money.
It's mostly
the
the
health.
money bit.
Yeah, and also the health, right? It's like,
And your parents want to show off.
yeah, that too, right? I think as a kid, I probably didn't really think about much about, like, what I wanted to be when I grew up. Like, I'm not like your typical character from a movie. Or the stereotype.
5-second rule.
Like, it's like, oh, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. No.
Have you seen that post? I forgot what his name. No, you have. I forgot what his name is, but he's like a doctor. He's an astronaut. He's also something else.
Yeah.
And then
Engineer.
oh yeah, and then the caption was like, oh, you definitely don't want your mom to meet this person's mom.
Well, it's like, it's also like, oh, whatever you do, there's always an Asian that does it better. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that guy is just like, I don't know, man, like, he just couldn't decide what he wanted to do, so he just tried everything.
Did everything.
And he's an astronaut, engineer, like, was a lawyer as well.
I think he's a doctor.
Doctor.
Some
Don't get me
kind of-
wrong, I have mad respect for him. I think he's like, that's incredible, right? Like I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think.
I don't think I would be able to do that.
Well, I know that I wouldn't be able to do it, personally. Because I can't be bothered doing it, that's the first thing. I'd have to be studying for a very long time. I've had enough of studying in my life, I think. Before like we even started, before Caroline even asked the question and even introduced this episode, I already finished my first week, and I'm already halfway through my burger. I wish I got a bigger burger. Oh well. And we already finished the chips. Like the chips are already done.
Sorry, there's plenty of wings.
Oh, small. What about you? What were your childhood dreams?
I had quite a lot actually.
Huh? Yep.
But obviously, yeah, my parents wanted like doctor, lawyer, that kind of thing. I wanted to be a lot of things.
Oh, well,
You know.
start off the list. What did you want to be? You want to be a lawyer?
I did. I wanted to be a lawyer, but
Why
then
did you want to be a lawyer?
I think just like like TV shows and like movies and stuff, and then you just you just see how cool it is in action. They're like, negotiating, or they're like trying to prove someone guilty or whatever.
Yeah.
I always thought it looked really cool. I wanted to be an actress.
Oh, yes. Well, why don't you expand on that? Wait, what do you mean, shh? I'm pretty sure the audience is now going to be like, oh my god, Caroline wants to be an actress? Wow. Yes, get her to become an
Fun
actress.
fact, everyone. I actually auditioned for quite a big production.
Well, why did you want to be, firstly, a lawyer? And why did you want to be an actress?
There were a lot of things. You can ask me that at the end.
Why? What do you mean by at the end? Why can't I ask you now? What's the...
There are a lot of things.
Oh, you want to go through a list first? Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yep,
I'm
yep.
gonna go through a list.
Yep, yep.
Wait, I lost my train of thought.
Okay, well, actress?
Oh yeah. Singer.
Singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another fun
I
fact.
actually haven't heard you sing properly yet. Like, maybe give us a rendition now.
No.
I'm pretty sure the viewers would love to hear you sing.
No.
Why? What if I sung first and then you sung after me?
No.
Why?
You can sing whatever you want.
What do you want me to sing? Now I feel shy now. Oh, sorry.
I actually fun fact, I used to post covers on YouTube.
What?
That's
Wait,
what
even
this.
okay, hold up. Okay,
And-
hold up. Yeah, okay.
and I
you used to post a lot
also-
of stuff on YouTube, but I knew that, but I just didn't know
I
that you
also
posted covers.
auditioned for a few record companies, but obviously didn't get in. Yeah. What else did I want to be? I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
Because I was so...
Okay, hold up. Can you tell me also at what point in life did you want to be all these things? Because I think that's also pretty important too, right? At what points in life you wanted to be
I think-
each of these things?
Actress, singer was always... from really young. Like it was just ongoing. Lawyer was probably primary school, like maybe year 5 or year 6.
And what was the influence for? Tell me again. What was the influence for why you wanted to be a lawyer again? Because you were like, oh my god, this is so cool. It looks so strong and powerful in the law room.
You're gonna judge me.
Okay, wait, tell me.
After I watched Legally Blonde.
There you go, guys. Truth comes out. Okay. Yep.
Fashion designer was maybe not maybe. It was like the second or last year of high school because we were choosing what we wanted to do in university.
Okay. Yep. That you choose like textiles or something. Is that what you did?
Yeah. It would have been design. And then yeah.
I feel like that's very stereotypical because I chose engineering. Yep.
Apart from fashion, I think fashion design was mainly because it might not show on camera. It might show on camera. Hopefully it doesn't. But I would say I'm quite a chunky person.
Okay. Well, I don't think so, but yes, continue.
And I was always, every time I went out and tried clothes, it was just difficult to find something that fit my body shape, my size, my skin color, just all of that. And I was just like, I'm gonna create my own brand, my fashion label, and then I'm gonna have like a runway show. After that, my mum actually convinced me, and I was half convinced that it would have been worthwhile me going into like education and teaching. So I thought like, oh yeah, I think I could be a good teacher. But I was never good at anything. You know how like teachers, they have like apart from primary school teachers where they have knowledge of like bits and pieces of everything. In high school it was always like specific. So like your maths teacher was your maths teacher. Sometimes they could be your science teacher.
In high school, yes.
Yeah, English, maybe they can do a bit of history or like legal studies, that kind of thing. But I was never good at like anything in specific.
So hold up, right? Now, again, I don't think you need to be good at something. Just because you're good at
I
something
think you just need to be more knowledgeable. Like, if I were to be like an English teacher, like I still make heaps of grammatical mistakes. Like even when I'm speaking, maybe I pronounce things wrong. I just don't think I would be a good role model. And I hate essay writing. I don't even want to read it.
Okay, right, yeah.
Some of the stuff, you know, when you log back onto like an old computer and then like
and you find all your old essays and
everything.
everything.
Old essays, like I'm reading it and I'm just like,
man, it sounds so...
It would have sounded maybe good at the time, but now that I'm reading, I'm just like, ew.
You're like, oh my god, this is so formal. Like,
no
one
formal,
writes like this in the
like,
real world.
I don't even remember it anymore. Like, let alone like annotating and like analyzing text or movies and stuff.
I think being knowledgeable and being good at something, like at one subject or one kind of topic or one area, right, or one industry or whatever, right, doesn't necessarily translate to you being a good educator.
That's true.
Like they're kind of mutually exclusive. Like you can.
There are parts that
overlap.
Yes. But being good at something doesn't mean you're gonna be good at teaching.
Yes, good at teaching, correct.
Well, let's take a food break because we're both hungry.
Intermission.
I'm gonna eat in front of the mic.
ASMR time.
No, you're chewing.
Yeah, I'm gonna. What do you mean?
When you bite it.
Yeah, I'm gonna like, right here. Right?
Oh, damn.
Yum. I don't know if that's gonna get caught up in the audio, but we'll find out when you do your editing.
Back then, I was convinced that it was more of a... not laid back, but like you got like holidays and like all that. It's like when the kids were on holidays, you'd be on holidays. I was convinced it was like that, but after tutoring with those 3 places, and I actually did work with a few qualified teachers because they were the owners.
Yeah.
And then some of the other staff who took on the higher, more advanced grades, they were actually qualified teachers, and I'd asked them, and they're like, oh no, like even during school holidays, like you think we get a break, but we actually don't. Right. We're like programming, we're like planning ahead for the next term or planning ahead for the next few lessons, all that kind of thing. And then they just say like, oh, you really need to have like, you need to be very firm with kids because you're not always going to get like a good bunch.
Yep.
And I think I was put off it by a bit.
Yep.
But I did consider it for like postgrad or something if I wanted to do something else.
I feel like the younger the kid is, the harder it is to teach him. I think kindergarten is probably the hardest.
Oh, it is. Teach. That's why a lot of people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the younger the kids are, the more rewarding it is. Because kids are like sponges. Like whatever you tell or teach them, they just absorb it.
The younger they are, you mean, right?
Yeah.
I'd imagine. Actually, I think maybe I'll take that back. Maybe it's not that the younger it is, the harder it is to teach them. I feel like it's like maybe like a parabola in a sense. I feel like it probably peaks in difficulty maybe around years 9 and year 10. I think maybe.
Yeah.
Right, because kids are
puberty.
Puberty.
Puberty, and they're rebellious.
Yeah, and then like once you get to year 11, year 12, it's just like everyone's trying to focus on the HSC, so
Yeah.
like, it's just one mind, right, in everyone's mind. It's just like, study, as
Yeah.
well, right? So it's
Yeah.
just easier to manage those kids,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Out of all that, well, maybe then you tell the viewers obviously what you're doing now, but are you in any of those fields at the moment?
No.
Completely different, right?
Yeah, completely different.
Yes.
Even completely different to what I studied in university.
Yes. I think that's the case with most people,
Yeah.
right? Is that
Unless I feel like people who studied very specific degrees, they continued down that path.
Yeah. So myself as well, I'm also not in the field.
Yeah.
I'm not working in the field that I studied for. And I think maybe like probably 90% of my friends as well aren't in the field that they're not working in the field that they studied for. What about your friends? My friends I know, for example, are 90%, like 90% of people. 90% of them aren't in the working in the field that they were studied in.
I would say. Quite the
like-
opposite.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think your
All of
friends.
my friends have very specific, at least they study very specific things. So, like, let's say, so I was in the science field. Usually in first year you study like very broad.
General topics, right? Like everyone
Yeah,
kind of
and then
same,
and then people would just specialize afterwards. So
yeah.
I was with people who did like medical science, who eventually went on to be like doctors. I had people in vision science who they were also in optometry. They went on to become optometrists.
Yeah.
Some friends, actually, I feel like all of, if not all, are in whatever they studied. Apart from me. Apart from me.
It's very weird. It's very weird. For like,
just me.
so my friend, no, I don't think it's just you. Well, as in like just you.
Yeah,
so
like
you have
within
no
my
idea.
crowd.
Yeah. I think it depends on what degree you study, right? Because I think because okay, so I studied engineering, right? I studied chemical and biomedical engineering. A lot of my friends studied mechatronics. Like pretty much all my friends study engineering for that matter, right? And I'd say maybe not many people are in engineering, surprisingly enough. They're either in consulting or they're in corporate or they're in some supply chain area or they're in some, I'm trying to think what else. They're in banking, as an example. Yeah, pretty much no one's... I'm trying to think who is in engineering. I'll explain my rationale why I didn't go into engineering, right? So I did a bunch of internships. So in Australia, when you're studying, at least for UNSW, right, in engineering, when you're studying UNSW engineering, you have to, in order for you to graduate, you have to get some work experience of some form or fashion, right? So you have to get internship, otherwise you can't graduate.
Really?
Yes,
For your degree specifically?
for all engineering degrees.
Oh,
That have
okay.
honours.
Yep.
Yes. Well,
yep,
at least
yep.
when I was studying, it could be different now for that
Yep.
matter, right?
Yep.
And in general, it's just good to get work experience because then
Yeah.
it sets you up for.
And
when
you don't have a
when you
blank
graduate.
resume.
Yeah, exactly right. You don't have a blank resume, correct? So, I did I think 2 or 3 internships. One internship I went to Melbourne and actually worked from Melbourne there for a bit, and they subsidized all my accommodation and everything. And then the second internship, or the second internship was in Melbourne. The first internship was in Sydney, and I was working for like a gas company. And I feel like a lot of engineering, at least in Australia, in Sydney at least, especially, right? Engineering is very, very just maintenance. Like you're not really building anything new unless you're in consulting. Engineering consulting is when you kind of design and build new things, right? And I think that's the exciting part of engineering itself, right? But a lot of the engineering jobs, at least in Sydney, are maintenance. So it's just like, you've got like a chemical factory or whatever, let's say a sewage plant that's already there. It's just like maintaining it, making sure it runs smoothly. If anything's broken, then you go fix it, right? As an example.
Yep.
And engineers don't even go to fix it. If the engineers
Yeah.
kind of just they're just there to, I don't know, just look at systems, I guess, right? So when I did those internships, I was just like, it's not really what I really thought I wanted to do, and it wasn't as interesting as I thought it was either. So I think towards the end of uni, I was like, oh man, I don't really. If I wanted to do engineering, right, or get into, I was a little bit interested in pharmaceuticals because I did
Yeah.
chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, which is it sets me up for
Oh,
pharmaceuticals.
I almost became a pharmacist.
Oh, nice. We could have maybe seen each other. There's not that many big pharmaceutical companies here in Australia per se.
There are big ones, but not huge ones.
Yeah, and even then, like they don't have that many factories here in Sydney, I'd say, right? Or production facilities. And I think biomedical engineering itself is pretty big in America, but I didn't really have any plans on moving to America per se to work from there. So at that point in time, I was like, okay, like I had some experience in consulting. Well, as in not experience per se, but like had worked with, and the extracurricular stuff that I had done at uni was around like the consulting field. So I decided to go into consulting, did that for a bit of time, and then wanted to kind of move on from there and then go into industry. And that's sort of where I'm at now. So not really engineering related at all. Yeah. I think this goes back to your question, is like, what did I want to be when I grow up? I didn't really have any idea on what I wanted to be. I think back then when I was a kid, I just wanted to have some fun. I just want to play games and enjoy life, be happy, I think. Didn't really have much thought in terms of what I wanted to do.